Super Rugby qualifying finals, folks. This weekend, 3 games on. Our teams are out. Qualifying finals doesn't quite have the same ring to it as like quarterfinals, but it's not quarterfinals because we've only got 6 teams. Someone will go through of the losers with the way it works. Maybe my Blues, if predictions are correct, because just quietly, all the home teams are predicted to kind of romp home with this one. But hey, funny things can happen. Last year in 1v6, we had the 6th place team Blues rolling the top seed. So we'll see what happens. We'll go through the squads which have been named, some predictions and some stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts. We are starting off 1v6 down in Wellington with the Hurricanes, who've recalled all the guys they rested last week in that loss to the Crusaders to take on the Brumbies. The Brumbies, boy, have they been out of sorts. They lost to Moana Pacifica in Canberra in the most recent game. They are not playing good rugby. If there's a time to get it right, you're going to need to do it now because the Hurricanes have been on fire. And particularly at home this year. These guys have played in Wellington this year in the regular season back in round 11, and it was 45 points to 12. It was a proper walloping. Kind of something similar is predicted here. I mentioned the Canes have got some guys returning. Almua is back, Tossi is back, Delaney and Derns. So that's 4 of your starting type 5. Plus Peter Lakai and Karefi are back in the loose. Roygaard continues on. He's going to partner Ruben Love, who is back. Remember, Roygaard needed a bit of game time after recovering from injury, so he did play last week. Geordie Barrett and Billy Proctor are back in the midfield. Morby is back to the right wing from fullback as Harkin comes in at fullback. There is still no Whenenganofo. He is still, unfortunately, out injured. But otherwise, it's a pretty strong looking side. They've returned Yose to the bench. Punivai's on the bench and Ari's on the bench. Lomax drops to the bench. Goodness me, it is a pretty stacked looking side. Morby has 13 tries. He is the 2nd top try scorer in Super Rugby this year behind Whenenganofo, who's on 16, but as I said, not playing. Proctor has been offloading like mad. There's a lot of good things going with this Hurricane side. They've had the most tries, the most clean breaks, the most run meters, the most defenders beaten. Like 11 more tries than the next best team, the Chiefs. Everything has been going pretty good, I suppose. Although, if there is a weakness, they do have the worst line-out of the New Zealand sides. Despite the fact that Derns is like cracking and great on the charge down and disrupting opposition line-out ball and whatnot, he's been a real good addition for the Hurricanes. On their own line-out ball, I don't have the stats to back it up, but I feel like when Tupu's throwing, the line-out drops down a notch, but maybe I'm just being a bit harsh on the man. But either way, they've been able to bring back the big guns after last week. For the Brumbies, more kind of minimal changes from the team which lost to Moana last week. Lonergan is back starting at hooker. He's got Wallabies Slipper and Ala Alatoa alongside him. Lockie Shaw and Caden Neville still lock the scrum. Luke Reimer is going to start. Luke Reimer is going to start after being on the bench last week. So he's swapping places with Rory Scott. Rory Scott has been a bit of a tackle machine. But, I mean, Luke Reimer's great at the breakdown, so maybe they're switching to play a bit more of a threat there. Lonergan is one of the top point scorers. That's Ryan, not the hooker. The halfback is, kicking the goals and whatnot at 9 for the Brumbies. And they got some speedsters, man. Like Corey Tull, he's just re-signed with Aussie Rugby. He is lightning quick. Tom Wright has only been come back into rugby like the last 6 weeks or so. Still seems to be gathering a bit of match sharpness. Andy Muirhead's been a bit of a live wire. So they've still got some cracking players. What they don't have is just form. Their form has just been terrible. Like they put 50 points on the Crusaders at the start of the year? They beat my Blues. They beat the Chiefs. They were getting some scalps earlier on in the year. And it's just fallen off a cliff. They have the worst tackle percentage of all the teams, barring Moana and the Drua. That kind of shows you where the Brumbies are, and that's not something you would characteristically think of the Brumbies. They have a lot of carries. They don't offload that much. They're keeping a bit tighter, but they need more go-forward ball. They have got Charlie Cale back since last week. He was kind of busting tackles and getting tries, so they need more of that from him. Like Valentini's had the most carries in Super Rugby, but he's managed 2 tries for all that effort. So yeah, they need a bit of punch. They are underdogs, the Brumbies. 22 points, says the Rugby Forecast algorithm. The bookies are a little bit tighter, saying 19. So either way, it's predicted to be a massive shock if the Brumbies can get a win. The Brumbies have to win or they're out. They can't be the highest placed losing team based on finishing in 6th spot. Next game is on the Saturday, Crusaders against Blues. The Crusaders feel like they're coming right, don't they? Like they had a bit of a jittery start. They've had the flip of the Brumbies season. The Crusaders started poorly and then have just gone on a run in their last few weeks. They've won the games they needed to win to finish 3rd. They are looking class at that new stadium. God forbid anyone has to go to a playoff game down in that stadium. Well, that's my Blues task this week. It's a tall order. I think the only thing that's against the Crusaders this Super Rugby season is that they are the 3rd qualifying side. So there's a chance they have to go on the road, where they can still definitely get things done, but at home, it feels a lot more ironclad. The side which is facing the Blues does have a long injury list, though, especially tight head prop. This week, they have George Bower, who is more or less a loose head by trade. I don't think he's ever started a game at tight head. I think he's covered tight head in a pinch in the past. He's having to start at tight head this week, and then Gus Brown is going to get his debut if he comes on from the bench. So they are thin in the tight head role this week, the Crusaders, with Fletcher Newell being injured and a lot of the other props and front rowers generally. The Crusaders injury list is genuinely pretty long. Forget Will Jordan and whatnot. Like the forwards in particular seem to have taken a big old hammering this season for the Crusaders. Now, if it was maybe the Highlanders who've got a really aggressive scrum, I might think the Crusaders are a bit of a vulnerability there, but I don't feel like the current Blues scrum has been putting people under the screws enough to really make much of an advantage. We'll see how Bower goes, but he's got a lot of pressure on him. Finlay Brewis is going to start at loose head with Bower switching positions. Cody Taylor's still there. Hannah and Shelfoon's still there. Ethan Blackadder and Lester Fainganuku are back in the loose at 6 and 7. So the Blues will have to deal with the hybrid. They've swapped 10s this week. Kimara is starting ahead of Rehana. I think Rehana took a bit of a knock last week, so that might be part of the reason they've kept Kimara as the main guy this week. If it wasn't by choice last week, it was by injury. Harville's been playing the house down. He still captains the side at 12. The backs are unchanged for the Crusaders. Enor is back on the bench. That's a bit of good news. He's missed a lot of rugby. Taylor Cahill is also back. Dom Gardner switches to the bench. But yeah, the Crusaders have been coming right. They've got the most carries in Super Rugby, second for run meters, second for defenders beaten. Tackle percentage is the best of the New Zealand teams. Line out, second best of the New Zealand teams. Crusaders have been coming right. They have had a lot of yellow cards, but I feel like a lot of them were earlier in the season. Discipline seems to be largely coming right as well. Individuals, man, Reese, Leicester, they've been offloading like mad. Jamie Hannah's a top lineup, man. There's lots coming good for the Crusaders. Former Blues. Like I said, scrum time feels like the weakness we're going to need to exploit if we can. Remains another question. Renata is the tight head for us, but it's Tuangafasi who's going to have to try and do a job on Bower. And I don't feel like Tuangafasi's been quite the same since he came back from that long injury, which saw him miss basically all of last year. Bradley Slater's also back. Paddy Tuipulotu's back, and he captains the side, so that's a bit of good news. There's still no Dalton. There's still no Bodie, so we are without a couple of our veterans. Torian Barnes is going to get more game time, likewise Anton Signer. So we do have these younger, not international loosies who are standing up, which is good. And Malachi Rampling's keeping Hoskins on the bench at number 8. Knock and Peter Fitz at the 19 combo. Caleb Clark probably needs a big game. Like, he's been our best offensive weapon in a Blues side which has struggled for a bit of that offensive punch. And old Peyton Spence is back in the lineup on the bench for this one. The Blues are literally dead last for defenders beaten this competition. Dead last, of even lower than the teams which didn't make the playoffs. That is a bit of a concern. And a look at all the rest of the stats, we're kind of like low or mid-table for everything. Like a lot of teams you can say like they might be bad at this, but at least they're good at that. The Blues just seem to be pretty middling. End of the season has not been kind to the Blues. Sam Darry still having a great season. He's like the second top tackler in the competition. So he's been great to line out. Big man for the Blues and potentially for the All Blacks. This one is predicted to be a little bit closer. 8 points. The bookies have got the Crusaders winning this one. And the Algo's got it by 13. So saying Crusaders are even more high favourites. It was 16 points back in round 13. Remember, the Blues did win the one at Eden Park, but the return fixture, once the Crusaders found some form, was 36-20 only a few weeks ago. And then the second of the Saturday games, the Chiefs hosting the Reds. Chiefs have also been able to bring back some big guns. They rested a few against the Blues last week and still put a hammering on. The Reds, I feel like have found a little bit of form towards the end of the season. Maybe they had kind of lower ranked opposition. They struggled past Moana. They beat the Drua. I don't know. Maybe I'm just comparing to the Brumbies favourably. But the Chiefs have clearly been the second best team in Super Rugby. They've got some great stats as well. Tokiaho is back. Ollie Norris is back. Ahio is back. So it's a whole new front row for the Chiefs. Josh Lauder's still there. Vai is back. Parker is back. Jacobson back. There's a bunch of All Blacks back. D-Mac is back after that nasty concussion. He's going to pull the strings at 10. So Jacob is on the bench. Isaac Hutchinson's been a bit of a live wire. Certainly at fullback this week, he's been busting some tackles. The Blues could use a guy like that right now. Coombs Fabler is going to switch back to wing with Hutchinson taking the fullback spot. And Tupaya and Kyle Brown's a whole new midfield. So, yeah, the Chiefs have brought back some big guns. Even Leroy Carter's back after a long injury absence, but he is only good enough to ride the pine for this one. They're going to be able to bring on guys like Arcoy, Finau, McAllister, like George Dyer. Yeah, the Chiefs, depth-wise and injury-wise, are not looking too bad. Obviously, they've still got guys out injured, like, Narawa's out for the season, and there are other guys as well, but yeah, man, Samasoni Tokiaho, 10 tries. One of the top try scorers in the comp. That maul is brutal. Combining with Josh Lord, who's been great at line-out time. Karan Talmofalau has been getting the clean breaks. He's on the wing. Chiefs are second for tries, second for clean breaks. The best line-out in Super Rugby. They got a lot going right. Yeah, the Reds, they are going to be up against it. They're without a few guys like Paisami and Uru out for this week, but they've got Josh Nash is back. Jock Campbell is back. He's been electric in terms of, getting himself into some space. Philippa Dagunu is going to start in the midfield for this one, but the front row is going to need to do a job. Ross, who'd be familiar to Chiefs fans, Aiden Ross, and Zane Nongo will need to do a good job at scrum time. Salakai Loto and Cannon will need to provide some punch from the second row. I do like that second row combo. Cannon's a big skills guy, and Salakai Loto's a bit of a big lump of a man. Joe Bryle's been cracking at line-out time. They'll need him to do some more. The key guy is Fraser McCright, the captain. He's the top guy in Super Rugby for winning turnovers. They need him to have a blinder. Harry Wilson's got that skill set, which he's been showing off. He's been putting little kicks through and offloads and whatnot. He's got very silky skill set. And then Tate McDermott's probably his third game back. Him and Carter Gordon will need to get the attack running. They've got some weapons, man. Tim Ryan's elusive. Lockie Anderson's quick. As I said, Campbell's been chewing through the run meters. Delutz is on the bench in terms of their prop placements. Remember, he's got big things earmarked for him going forward, potentially in Wallabies Gold. Kalani Thomas is back. Trayvon Pritchard drops to the bench. Reds have had decent offensive stats this Super Rugby season. A bit less possession than some other teams. Their line out has been a bit of a tough watch. They'll need to be better there. Tackle percentage is great. Turnovers are great. But yeah, they'll need to be defensively very solid, get the scrum going, get the set piece going, and then, see what those excitement machine guys can do with that backline. Bookies, though, Chiefs by 15. Algo, Chiefs by 22. Last time they played was also round 13. That was over in Brisbane, though, and it was 31-21 to the Chiefs away. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts. Remember, the top-placed loser will still go through. So if everyone wins as predicted in terms of the home teams getting all the wins, the Blues will still go through as the kind of bottom placed next qualifier. So then they would take on the Hurricanes in the next round. So there's a bunch of possible permutations. Last year we did see the top qualifying team, as I said, get rolled. So if they do get rolled, they drop their kind of seeding. So they're still, even though the Hurricanes as the first place team are the only one guaranteed to see rugby in the semi-finals, they still won't want to drop that home seeding like the Chiefs did last year because it could be costly. They'll still have every incentive to win. You guys let us know your thoughts. Any likely upsets, or do you think it's all going to be kind of plain sailing for the home teams? You guys let us know your thoughts. Take care. Talk to you guys again soon. See ya.